Some stories are true crime, some are paranormal. But here, you won't just hear them, you'll live them. Put on your headphones. Welcome to what lurks in the shadows. You ever have one of those trips where everything just feels good? I'm talking about the kind where the flight attendant smiles at you like she means it, where your rental car actually smells new, where even the traffic seems to part for you like you're charmed. That was me, April of 1991, flying down to San Francisco. Seattle had been gray for weeks, the kind of gray that seeps into your bones and makes you forget what the sun looks like. But stepping off that plane, man, the Bay Air hit me like a gift, sharp and clean and alive. I actually laughed out loud in the terminal, just stood there grinning like an idiot because everything felt right. I remember thinking, this is going to be one of those trips, the kind you tell stories about. And I was right about that. Just not the way I thought. Now, here's the thing about business trips in the music industry. They're not what you think. No boardrooms, no PowerPoints. Mostly it's just talking. Rambling, really. You start with contracts and end up 3 drinks in, debating whether Beethoven would have liked synth pop. I lived for those nights, the detours, the rabbit holes. That's what happened this time. We were supposed to be talking licensing, but somehow, probably my fault, we ended up on ancient Egyptian music. You know, the kind of topic that makes most people's eyes glaze over like a donut. But this woman, she leaned in, she got it. So I kept going, told her about ceremonial chanting, about frequencies that were supposed to open doors between worlds, about how some notes don't just sound, they vibrate through you, like your ribcage is an instrument. She hung on every word, kept tilting her head, nodding, asking me to explain more. And I, stupid, flattered, riding that high of being heard. I just kept talking. Looking back, that's when I should have noticed. The way her eyes never left mine. Not even to blink. The way her questions got sharper, more specific. The way the conversation stopped feeling like a conversation and started feeling like something else. But I didn't notice. I was too busy enjoying myself. You know that feeling when you're having such a good time that you forget to check the clock? When the bar lights seem softer, the music sounds better, and you think, this is why I travel. This is what life's supposed to feel like. That's where I was, right up until the moment she touched my hand. It wasn't flirtatious, it was deliberate. Her fingers were cold. She looked at me, not at my eyes this time, but at my mouth, and said,
"Come back to my place."
Not a question, a statement. And here's where I'm supposed to tell you I was smooth about it, that I handled it with grace. But the truth is, I just froze. My brain stuttered because the whole night had felt so easy, and now suddenly it wasn't. I said no, politely, apologetically even, told her I had an early flight, a meeting. The usual excuses that are technically true but also completely beside the point. Her face didn't change, not right away. For a second, she just stared at me, and in that second, the noise of the bar seemed to fade, like someone had turned the volume knob down on the home world. Then she smiled. But it wasn't the same smile from earlier. This one didn't reach her eyes.
You'll regret that,
She said, calm, quiet, like she was telling me the weather.
I'm a witch, and I'm going to curse you.
I laughed. Of course I laughed. What else do you do when someone says something that ridiculous? But she didn't laugh with me. She just kept smiling that wrong smile, her hand still on mine, still cold, and said it again, slower this time, like she wanted me to really hear it.
You will regret this.
And then she let go, picked up her coat, walked out, just like that. I sat there for a minute, trying to figure out what the hell just happened, trying to laugh it off, trying to go back to that good feeling from earlier, that sense that everything was going my way, but it was gone. The bar felt louder now, too loud. The lights felt harsh. My drink tasted sour. I paid the tab and left. And as I walked back to my hotel, the night air that had felt so clean before now felt thick, like I was breathing through gauze. I kept hearing her voice in my head.
You'll regret it.
By the time I got to my room, I'd almost convinced myself it was funny. A weird story for later. Hey, you'll never believe what happened in San Francisco. But when I lay down in that hotel bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the city outside, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had just gone very, very wrong. You know that moment right before you fall asleep, when your body starts to drift, but your mind is still half awake, still turning over the day? That's when you're most vulnerable. That's when it started. I was lying there, eyes closed, almost gone, and I heard it. A whisper. Not loud, not even clear, just a sound that didn't belong. A breath that wasn't mine. My eyes snapped open. The room was empty. Of course it was. Hotel rooms don't come with ghosts. But my heart was pounding. My skin felt cold. And I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. And when I flew back to Seattle the next day, I told myself it was just stress. Just too much to drink, too much stimulation, too much of a good trip turning weird at the end. But deep down, deeper than I wanted to admit, I knew. Something had followed me home. The first week, I could almost ignore it. The dreams were bad, sure, worse than usual. I'd wake up gasping, my chest tight, my sheets soaked with sweat. But dreams are just dreams, right? Everyone has nightmares sometimes. Except mine weren't random. They were always the same. I'd be lying in bed, this bed, my bed, and I'd feel something pressing down on me, a weight, heavy and cold and deliberate, like hands, like someone leaning their full weight onto my chest, pinning me down. I'd try to move, try to scream, but nothing worked. My body was locked, paralyzed, and then I'd hear it, that whisper again, closer this time, right next to my ear. Still no words I could make out, just syllables, wet and low and wrong. I'd wake up, gasping, my heart slamming so hard I thought it would crack a rib. And every single time, I'd lie there in the dark, trying to convince myself it was just sleep paralysis. But then it started happening when I was awake. You ever feel like someone's watching you? Not paranoia, not anxiety. I mean that physical sensation. The prickle on the back of your neck. The way your body just knows something's wrong, even when your eyes can't see it. That's what my apartment felt like now. I'd walk into the kitchen and the air would feel different, heavier, like I'd just missed someone walking out. I'd turn a corner and catch movement in my peripheral vision. Just a flicker, just a shadow pulling back. But when I looked, nothing. The whispers got louder. Not loud enough to understand, just loud enough to hear. Sometimes I'd be brushing my teeth and I'd catch it in the mirror. A sound behind me. A shift in the reflection that didn't match my movements. I started keeping the lights on, all of them. It didn't help, because here's the thing about fear. It doesn't need darkness. It just needs doubt. And I was drowning in it. What if she was serious? What if curses are real? What if I'm losing my mind? What if I'm not? Round and round, over and over, until I couldn't tell which was worse, being haunted or going insane. So I did what anyone would do. I fought back. First, it was one Bible on the nightstand, just in case. Then two, one on each side of the bed. Then three, one under the pillow. I bought crosses, small ones at first, the kind you hang from a rear-view mirror, but then bigger ones, heavy ones. I nailed them above every doorway. I burned candles, white ones, the kind they use in churches. I let them burn down to nothing, then lit more. My apartment stopped looking like a home and started looking like a shrine or trap. Every night I'd check the salt lines, make sure they were unbroken. Check the crosses, make sure they were straight. Check the candles, make sure they were burning. And then I'd lie down and I'd wait. Because by now, I knew it was coming. Every night, like clockwork, the whispers, the weight, the feeling of hands, something pressing me into the mattress, holding me down, keeping me frozen while that voice hissed things I couldn't understand but felt in my bones. I stopped answering my phone, stopped going to work, stopped pretending everything was fine. How could it be fine? I was being torn apart, and no one could see it but me. You know what's worse than being afraid? Being afraid alone. My friend Sammy noticed I'd gone quiet. She called, left messages, checked in. When I didn't answer, she called the police,
My friend, I can't get a hold
asked
of him.
them to do a wellness check. I wasn't home when they came, couldn't stand to be there anymore. I'd checked into a hotel, thinking maybe, a different space would break the pattern. Neutral walls, bland art, a bed no one had cursed. But when I lay down that night, I felt it anyway. The weight, the cold, the whispers. It didn't matter where I was. It had me. The next morning, I called Sammy. My voice shook so hard I barely recognized it. I can't do this anymore. It's going to kill me. I can feel it. It's going to kill me. She begged me to get help, to see someone, to just hold on. I promised I would. I was lying. Because by then, I knew the truth. There was no fighting this, no escaping it, no reasoning with it. It was already over. I just hadn't stopped breathing yet. April 18th, 1991. I don't know what time it is. Doesn't matter anymore. The candles are almost gone, just puddles of wax now, flames barely hanging on. The salt lines are still there, unbroken. The crosses are still hanging, but I can feel it in the room with me. Not coming, not approaching, here. The whispers are louder now. I can almost make out words. Almost. The weight is pressing down on me, even though nothing's touching me. My heart skips again, harder this time. And I realize this is it. This is how it ends. Not with a scream, not with a fight. My chest hurts. My heart's been skipping for hours now. I can feel it, stumbling, catching, struggling to keep going. I'm sitting in the bathtub, knees pulled up, back against the cold porcelain. I don't know why the bathtub. Maybe because it feels smaller, safer, like I can curl up tight enough to disappear, but I won't disappear. Not with a scream, not with a fight, just a man alone in a bathtub, surrounded by candles and salt and symbols that couldn't save him. The last thing I feel is cold, and the last thing I hear is that whisper. Finally queer enough to understand. But I don't want to tell you what it said. because if I do, you might hear it too. If this story unsettled you, follow What Lurks in the Shadows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening now.